Oh.
Welcome to Sushi Bites. Sometimes when I'm lying in bed of a night trying to sleep, my mind starts to wander. Last night I was thinking about how Street Fighter is a completely false name at this point. For a game called Street Fighter, you sure fight a lot of people who clearly aren't Street Fighters, and sometimes in places that can't even remotely be considered streets. Here we're fighting a ninja in a jungle. And here's a dominatrix in a jungle. Sure, there's punches and kicks, but there's also your Hadoukens. You fight enhanced super DNA clone cyborgs, Chinese and Japanese martial artists, and even a warrior with a forbidden, long-lost, demonic fighting power. I'm not saying fantasy has no place in fighting games, but sometimes I'm looking for something a bit more grounded. If you are too, might I suggest Anarchy in the Nippon? Well, that's the subtitle. Its actual name is Goiken Muyou, which translates to something along the lines of, "Your opinion is worthless." I guess that's because words are meaningless. In this battle, we speak with our fists. Released in October 1997, published by KSS and developed by a fresh company, Media Muse, Goiken Muyou has an interesting history. It is alleged that the first game in the franchise was developed by a team comprised of people who had ported Virtua Fighter 2 to the Saturn. The original story came from Sega Gaga Domain, but it's a big fat pile, man. And people regurgitate it because they don't know any better. So allow me to put the goddamn story straight, once and for all. The information is all out there. It's just in Japanese, so nobody could be bothered to do the legwork. Goiken Muyou does have a tenuous connection to Virtua Fighter 2. In actuality, Goiken Muyou's development was overseen by 4 highly skilled Virtua Fighter 2 champions, the Virtua Tetsujin. One of them was a veteran programmer himself, Ike Sera, real name Toyohiko Yoshimine, who has never worked on a Virtua Fighter title. Sorry to burst your bubble, guys. There is a link to Virtua Fighter, but only in as far as the game featuring the likenesses of, and being created with the supervision of, the 4 most talented Virtua players. No Sega Saturn Virtua Fighter 2 team, no pitched game to Sega. The next time I hear someone say the game was developed by the Sega Saturn Virtua Fighter 2 team, I will rip out their tongue and feed it to a buffalo. People will tell you that this game has Virtua Fighter characters unlockable, but I'm sorry to reveal that this is also bullshit. These idiots have mixed up the characters they played with the Virtua Tetsujin themselves. The next time I hear someone say that Virtua Fighter 2 characters are unlockable in this game, I will personally remove their spleen and force them to watch it be processed in a NutriBullet. Now, does the game bear a lot of similarities to Virtua Fighter? Oh, don't you know it? You've got punch, kick, block, and an escape button like Virtua Fighter 3. Battles take place in a 3D space where you can sidestep the opponent. No jumps though, floaty or otherwise, and in this game no ring-outs. While designed to be a bit more comical and silly in places, Goiken Muyou's true intent is to offer a more realistic fighting experience as a whole. The game features character designs from Atsushi Kase, a manga artist who tends to specialize in delinquent character designs. Each character is channeling some manner of Japanese stereotype, and their stresses make them on edge and eager to fight. All good fighting games have a gimmick, and Goiken Muyou's is pretty clever. Shaving off your opponent's health bar isn't enough. You have to get them off the ground for the win to count. Kick them, throw them, punch them really hard. Just make sure that once their health is gone, you find some manner of lifting them off the ground. It's only a minor change, but it is significant enough to alter gameplay, creating new playstyles and opportunities. The game is pretty thorough, with menus within menus, where you can tweak everything from gravity to the character's head size. I know what I said about realism, but I kinda like the characters having massive heads. And there's a practice mode, which has pretty much what you expect. This first title is rough around the edges, but with the extensive settings and playable Virtua Tetsujin, it remains quite a memorable little oddity, and a good title for Sega Saturn collectors to grab. It even has a message from the game's developers on the disc, where we can see the staff who worked on the game and the little office they shared when they were working together. Apparently the game development was quite challenging, and the team were under a lot of pressure. I think they made an excellent product considering what they had to work with.
Hey, be cool and ready for the fight.
A whole year on, in late 1998, the sequel was released for the PlayStation. The Virtua Tetsujin are no longer available to play as, but it did bring us 2 new characters and much improved graphics, gameplay, and presentation. Generally speaking, this is the same game, but with some tightened gameplay and much faster fights. Arenas with flat backgrounds were exchanged for 3D geometry. The textures were greatly improved, and the arenas feel like real places, with the return of Virtua's ring outs. Added to the game was an extra boss, Mannequin, similar to Dural from Virtua, a character with every moveset at their disposal, who can only be fought if you clear arcade without losing a match. The battle takes place on top of the moving bus, which is a laugh in and of itself for a game that predominantly has very real-feeling fighters and locations. This sequel is highly recommended for folks who are looking for the Virtua Fighter gameplay, but on the classic PlayStation, as Sega wouldn't release an entry in the Virtua series on a Sony platform until Virtua Fighter 4 stumbled onto the PlayStation 2. There's just something so nostalgic about Goiken Muyou 2 that's so hard to pin down. I really do highly recommend this title and the Sega Saturn original, as they offer a glimpse into how well another popular fighting game franchise can be emulated, especially when the people working on it were such well-versed players with extensive skill and experience. Unfortunately, with excessive menus and very little English text present, this is not import friendly. These are 2 games in desperate need of fan translation. Hopefully someday there will be a group of people who see the merit in such a venture. Until then, Goiken Muyou will remain a very rewarding franchise, but only for those with the perseverance to crack it open. Games that would not work as a full-length episode. This is Stayhomer. It's available on Steam for about $3. Developed by Japanese shitposter Noto Muteki, you play as a special police unit named Stayhomer. It's your job to disinfect the anti-lockdown protesters within 3 minutes. Otherwise, the USA will launch a nuclear missile upon Japan. It's a topical, political statement, and a joke that lasts for about 15 minutes if you go for all 3 endings. And no doubt a game that will seem super dated at whatever time in the future this chaos in the world is finally over. The secret ending sequence is hilarious. With Japan disinfected, Tokyo 2020 can now proceed as planned. Instead of the infamous ceremonial torch used in this international sporting event, Stayhomer lights a pile of corpses to mark the opening ceremony. Dark humor, but an utterly brilliant jab at the current world we find ourselves in. We really rolled double ones this year for luck, didn't we? This has been Sushi Bites. Thanks for watching.